A Weld County deputy killed in a hit and run.
Tonight, officers searching for the driver responsible. Plus, nearly the entire island in the dark. About 1,000 people rescued after Hurricane Fiona causes catastrophic damage in Puerto Rico.
And saying the final goodbye, Queen Elizabeth II is laid to rest.
The grief of this day, felt not only by the late Queen's family, but all round the nation, arises from her abundant life and loving service, now gone from us.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 5. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. We're going to begin in Weld County. The Weld County Sheriff's Office mourning the loss of one of their own.
Deputy Alexis Heinutz was hit and killed over the weekend while riding her personal motorcycle, and the driver who hit her fled from the scene. Denver 7 CB Cotton is joining us live in Weld County. She's at the Sheriff's Office.
And CB officers are releasing some new information about a possible suspect.
And Shannon, that's right. More on that in a moment. First, I want something behind me. If you take a look here at the Weld County Sheriff's Office headquarters, you see flags are in half staff. One of the many signs that this community is in mourning this evening, mourning one of their own who was heading to this area when the crash happened, just coming to work. I want to talk to you a little bit about her. Sheriff Steve Reams says Deputy Alexis Heinutz joined the Weld County Sheriff's Office back in 2018 at only 21 years old. Since then, she had been serving as a detentions deputy, and shortly after she graduated from the Weld County Jails Academy, she wrote on her Facebook page that the job was a dream come true. In 1 week, she would have been 24 years old. The Colorado State Patrol is investigating the crash and says Heinutz was riding her motorcycle, I should say, when a minivan struck and killed her near the intersection of Weld County Road 37 and AA Street. Now, the Weld County Sheriff's Office says this man, Octavio Gonzalez Garcia, is the suspect. Sheriff Reams says evidence collected from the scene showed Gonzalez Garcia was intoxicated at the time of the crash. The sheriff also says he ran away from the scene, as you all mentioned, when deputies arrived. Now they're asking for people who live near the Colorado 392 corridor near the crash site to check security cameras so they can figure out where Gonzalez Garcia is heading to. The Weld County Sheriff's Office is collecting donations right now to help offset funeral costs. We've got a link on our website for how you can help right now on denver7.com. Reporting live in Weld County this evening, I'm CB Cotton, Denver 7.
That deputy's so young. All right, CB, thank you for that. And we now know the names of the 3 people killed when 2 planes collided midair in Boulder County over the weekend. They are 22-year-old Daniel Wilmoth, 23-year-old Samuel Fisher, and 69-year-old Henry Butler. The collision happened near Longmont Saturday morning, just minutes after takeoff, and the NTSB is investigating.
Well, today, hundreds of students were either placed on lockdown or evacuated from schools across Colorado because of false threats made to campuses. This is Air Tracker 7 video of students from Denver's East High School being evacuated to the football field. And we were there when the all clear was given, and back before the all clear was given, we spoke to some panicked parents.
I got a call from my daughter first off of someone else's phone that said we've been evacuated to the football field. There's something going on at the school. We heard there was a weapon.
Now, so-called swatting, these are fake reports meant to result in a large police presence, were also made to Everett Middle School in Wheat Ridge, Montrose High School, a high school in Colorado Springs, and schools in Texas. So FBI Denver tonight is investigating the source of those calls.
In Commerce City, a student was taken into custody after a handgun was found at Adams City High School. And that school was put on a lockdown while police searched campus after receiving reports of a student with a firearm. No one was injured, and police say no threats were ever made. And the investigation as to why the student brought a gun to campus is still ongoing. The man charged with killing 3 people at a Planned Parenthood clinic in Colorado Springs can now be forcibly medicated. Robert Deere has been in court dozens of times since 2015, since that shooting, and he's been found mentally incompetent to stand trial each time. Well, today a federal judge ruled that Deere can be forcibly medicated to see if he can now stand trial.
The use of sedatives by first responders in Aurora will be taken up by City Council tonight. This resolution they're looking at would prevent paramedics from using a drug to replace ketamine, which was banned 2 years ago following the death of Elijah McClain. Denver 7 Investigates broke this story last week. The resolution would ban Aurora Fire Rescue from adding any new sedatives for 3 years. Last month, Aurora's medical director introduced a new sedative for first responders to use called droperidol. So if council passes this new measure, it would stop the rollout of droperidol.
I just don't understand why we would take the risk of introducing an additional sedative while those charges are still pending.
Medical experts have come out against the ban. Aurora will discuss the resolution at 6:30 tonight, and council could vote on this next Monday. A Baltimore judge has ordered the release of Adnan Syed after overturning a 1999 murder conviction. Syed spent more than 20 years in prison for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Hai Min Lee. His case was chronicled in the 2014 podcast Serial. The podcast raised some doubt about some of the evidence prosecutors used. And the judge ruled the state violated its legal obligation to share evidence that could have bolstered the defense. The state now has 30 days to either seek a new trial date or dismiss the case. Syed has always maintained his innocence.
A powerful earthquake, 7.6 magnitude, hit off the southwest coast of Mexico. And we know at least one person was killed, and there are some reports of damage near the epicenter, which is in the state of Michoacan. The earthquake happened less than an hour after a nationwide earthquake drill. It also happened on the same day powerful earthquakes hit that country in 1985 and in 2017.
Puerto Rico seeing widespread flooding tonight and power outages as Hurricane Fiona dumped more than 2 feet of rain on that island. The hurricane made landfall yesterday, sustained winds of 100 miles per hour. And this is video of the National Guard rescuing people stranded in the floods there. Look at that. About 1,000 people had to be rescued. At least one person has died. And more than 1.5 million people are without power tonight, and it could be days before that power is back on.
Well, today, millions of people, including hundreds of dignitaries and heads of state from around the world, said their final goodbyes to Queen Elizabeth II.
Her casket was carried to St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, where she was buried next to her late husband, Prince Philip, at a private funeral with the royal family. Reporter Faith Abube joins us live now from London's ABC's London Bureau. Excuse me.
And Faith, President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden were among today's world leaders in attendance.
And Shannon, it was a historic day, an emotional ending to that long goodbye for Queen Elizabeth II. Britain always knew that this day would come, but it didn't make it any easier. Stirring scenes of British pageantry and royal tradition on full display for Queen Elizabeth's final goodbye. Bells from London to Windsor tolling through the Queen's funeral. The coffin met with a gun salute at Windsor Castle for that final mile to her resting place at St. George's Chapel. In London, members from every branch of Britain's military on hand for the rare state funeral. It began Monday morning at Westminster Hall. Pallbearers drawing the gun carriage with the Queen's flag-draped coffin, adorned with a wreath of flowers, the imperial crown, scepter, and orb. King Charles leading his siblings and his children in a royal procession behind the Queen's coffin to Westminster Abbey, the church where Queen Elizabeth was crowned as a monarch more than 70 years ago and where she was married. The Queen's great-grandchildren joining the procession inside the church, filled with about 2,000 mourners, including hundreds of dignitaries and heads of state. The grief of the royal family visible during the service. The King's eyes welling with tears while the choir sang, "God Save the King." Authorities estimate about 1 million well-wishers crowded central London streets to see the solemn event, some of them watching in mournful silence, others clapping in reverence.
That was the lump in the throat moment,
I think,
when the coffin came by and so slowly, and the family behind.
The emotional farewell to Queen Elizabeth II, capping 10 days of public mourning, where tens of thousands waited up to 24 hours in line to pay their final respect. Others camping out for days just to see this moment. Britain's longest reigning monarch now laid to rest. Shannon, and after that public funeral, the royal family held a private service before laying Queen Elizabeth to rest inside St. George's Chapel next to her late husband, Prince Philip. A new era has now begun. Live in London, Faith Abube, Denver 7.
And Faith, aside from St. George's Chapel being the final resting place of Prince Philip, the chapel does hold a very special meaning to the royal family.
It does. It's steeped in history, in royal history, actually. For the Queen especially, her mother, her father, her sister are all interred there. And then we're also learning there are a total of 10 monarchs who are now buried there at St. George's Chapel. Back to you.
Faith and ABC's Faith Abube reporting live from London tonight for us. Thank you. The Queen's 2 corgis and her pony watched her funeral procession pass by the grounds of Windsor Castle. The Queen, as you know, had a lifelong love for corgis, and she enjoyed horse riding throughout her life.
A sanctioned campsite goes up in flames.
It's not safe to have that many people densely packed on one lot.
Neighbors tell Denver 7 this isn't the only problem they've run into with the tents right next door.
We do not know what happened.
Plus, the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture makes a stop in Colorado.
Farmers, ranchers, and producers across the country, and certainly in the West, understand and appreciate the challenges of changing climate.
We hit the 90s again today. We'll do it one more time tomorrow, and then a big change.
And a father mourns the death of his 10-year-old son.
He said, Mom, Dad, I'm leaving. I'll be home soon.
The boy tragically killed after being hit by a car while riding his e-scooter.
They need to hold their loved ones. They need to tell them I love you. You never know when that last one is the last one.